Good afternoon, everybody. I think as the MC was trying to build up a lot of enthusiasm among all the people, I think coming towards the end of the session, the event, is really a challenge for the last speaker to build some energy and some interest into the proceedings. I think for those of you who have been sitting since morning, it must be quite tiring. And for me also, where's Ms. Sivani Babar? It was on and off that whether I would come, not come, because there were some other meetings that I had, and fortunately for me, that the meeting that I had at around 3 o'clock in my office got rescheduled, so I could make it here. And I also thought that maybe I'm a bit late because I said I should be here by around 4 o'clock. But luckily for me, I think, as is normally the case in such events, there is it keeps on. Everybody adds around 10 minutes to each session. And towards the end of the day, we are, par that. Okay. Having said that, this is a cybersecurity summit, and I was just going through the agenda. And as is the hype and the trend, all these 3 sessions have been talking about AI. I was looking at the agenda, and all the 3 sessions were talking of AI. I would talk a bit of AI, but also I'll talk about certain other things because it's about cybersecurity. The perspective from our own office and perspective of national security that are there. I've been in this journey of security, and the current office where I work, the National Security Council Secretariat, I've been there for the last now nearly 5 years. And it's been quite a journey, and I find that there's a lot of difference, and it's a positive difference, that has occurred over the period of few years. What we were, say let's around 4 or 5 years back when I joined that place to what we are today, there's a marked difference. The amount of awareness about cybersecurity has really improved. The number of people who have got skill sets in cybersecurity has also increased. The number of enterprises which are more mature compared to a few years back is also increased. 4 or 5 years back, we used to talk about board level involvement in cybersecurity, and a lot of the bigger companies, you will find that cybersecurity is an agenda of the board now. So that way you'll find that there's a lot of positivity in the way that we have gone ahead in the domain of cybersecurity. Having said that, are we satisfied with the progress that is there? Definitely not. There's a lot of work that requires to be done. And that requires to be done in all the dimensions. When you look at the level of the individual, there are certain requirements which are there. At the level of the enterprise, there are certain requirements that are required to be fulfilled. And then at the national level also, there are certain requirements that are required to be fulfilled. Cyber hygiene is one of the aspects that's been talked about repeatedly, because many of the breaches that occur are because of the compromise that comes about because of social engineering and the individual getting compromised, and then through him, the systems get compromised. That's one very important aspect that is there, and that is required to be addressed. There are certain initiatives that are happening at the national level, and I'm using this forum to appraise you of those initiatives. Some of you might be aware of it, and many of you might not be aware of them. There's a program of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology called the ISEA program. I don't know if all of you are, the problem with these lights is you don't know if you have an audience. The Information Security Education Awareness Program is of MAITI. It's in the 3rd phase of implementation. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. It's in the 3rd phase of implementation, and in the current phase, what they're having is they have this virtual labs to be created under that so that people could be trained using those virtual labs so that anybody from anywhere could use those virtual labs to get trained in cybersecurity. There's a provision for awareness programs. In the phase 2 of the program also, the CDAC Hyderabad is the project management unit for this ISA program. So under that, they have created material. So you can go to the ISA website and see there's a lot of material, even in the vernacular. Education at the level of school children, so that the school teachers are trained so that they can provide the education at the school children level about cyber hygiene and cyber security. There's a program for training of government officers, and there's also a program for having educational content at the level of undergraduate and postgraduate level, including PhD work, research activity to happen in that. So that is one gross program that is there. As I said, if you have the right person in the right place, a lot of things can get taken care of. And in the case of cyber security also, it's having the right person in the right place. One of the realizations that we had was that of the shortage of manpower, and especially in the critical information infrastructure. So NCIPC, National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center, we have been in touch with them and asked them to come up with a certification scheme for individuals, which based on the requirements of the sector. That is one. So they have worked with QCI, the Quality Council of India, and the work is is completed, and shortly we will be actually announcing that work. Then we'll have workshops across the country on that scheme. The scheme consists of certification of individuals. So we have various categories of expertise that is required and various domains in which the expertise is required. So that is the way the grid has been formed. Then we'll also have certification of training organizations and certification of consultancy organizations. So this is the complete scheme that is there, that's going to be announced shortly. And that would really help in organizations also to source manpower. It also will help in benchmarking what is the knowledge level and the skill set level that is required for various roles of cybersecurity professionals that go into enterprises, especially in the critical information infrastructure. So this is one initiative that is happening, and especially in the terms of capacity building and skill sets. Then the other is, protecting of at the national level, and at the citizen level, when you come back again to the citizen level, especially the fraud prevention part of it. You all know about the I4C. I think if you go back 2 years, people would not know about it. 1930 is a number. I think most of you are aware of it. No? If there's a fraud that's committed, and then where do you report? If you are defrauded, where do you report? Okay, 1930 is a number. You have the I4C, that is Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center. Okay, that's an infrastructure that's been created. There are some 7 verticals under that, but the citizen center, citizen facing part is that portal that's been created where you can log in, where you can go there and then report a cyber crime. Okay. Now, the first part is the reporting of the cyber crime. Simplification of the process of reporting the cyber crime is very important, and that's a work in progress, because based on the experience of the initial deployment of the portal, there is a simplification process that's happening. There is also a mechanism of having maybe an app where automatically it actually picks up the information from your phone regarding, let's say for example, lots of times what happens is you get a phishing call or a phishing message that comes to you, and as an individual that based on your own experience and your understanding that's a phishing call. And if it could be reported by you, though you have not fallen into the trap, through the crowdsourcing mechanisms, you could proactively take action to see that those particular numbers are brought down, or those numbers from which the SMSs are coming could be brought down, or the email IDs, from where these things are coming can be brought down. So that is another activity that you will find shortly would come around. So it will facilitate people to report that in that way. Already there is a DOT website where you can go and report a number from where you have received this. But the initiative now is to have an app which would actually take care of this. Okay, so this is another work that is there, and if you have any thoughts and ideas on that, you could reach out to the I4C and then give your thoughts and ideas on that, and that's an active work in progress that's happening. At the national level, and because you're talking of AI, if you really have to protect the national infrastructure, it's a question of doing a predictive analysis of the incidents that are happening and then forewarn other entities which are there in the same domain to take proactive measures to see that they don't get affected. So how would that happen? So you should have access to the metadata of the traffic that is flowing and then do an analysis of that, and based on that we should be able to predictively feel that an attack is going to happen. And for example, it's happening in a particular entity in a particular sector, we could warn other entities in that sector that this is something that's happening there, kindly take these following measures for that. Because if somebody has targeted a particular entity in a sector, there's a very high probability that other entities in that particular domain sector would actually get targeted again. So this is another one. So we have the NCCC, the National Cyber Security Coordination Center. I don't know if you heard of that, which actually picks up traffic from probes across the country in different sectors, and from the metadata itself, when we run all those AI tools on that and then do a predictive analysis, and then based on that you send out advisories and alerts to all the entities across. So that is another work that is there. Across the country in all the networks which are there of the ISPs, we have got these probes which picks up the data in real time. We did a pilot with a few locations, but now the deployments have happened all across the country, so we have visibility into the complete traffic across the country, including into the enterprises, different enterprises. So there is one regarding the service providers, and also with respect to major entities within the different domains, like in the banking and financial sector, the power sector, the telecom sector, and all of that, from where these things are picked up. There are also development of honeypots which has taken place, and the deployment of honeypots, and this through R&D. We have an R&D budget that we use for giving it to academic institutions and research institutions. When you look at the landscape, the canvas of all the cybersecurity domains which are there, and then we identify the places where there is a problem area and problem statements and give them money, and then we get the things developed. So honeypot deployment, development of honeypots and deployment of honeypots is one area, and through CERT India, those deployments have taken place across the country. Now we are also in the process of deploying honeypots which are specific to sectors, like the power sector, for example. Honeypots specific to the power sector, honeypots specific to the telecom sector is the next phase of work that we're doing. So basically, if you look at it, there is a lot of work that's required to be done, and actively we are identifying this lacuna, the black holes which are there, and then filling up those black holes. What are the challenges currently which is still existing in the cybersecurity domain? One of them is regarding these emerging technologies which are there, like artificial intelligence or quantum technologies which are there, and the other is regarding IoTs. What are the security requirements of these, and how do I do an audit of a system that is deployed? Like, for example, I've deployed an AI system. How do I evaluate that? What are the security requirements of that, and how do I evaluate an AI system to say it's cyber secure? So that is one part that is there. So that is a work in progress. So that is one area we have started work on, to evaluate AI systems for security purposes. The similar cases with quantum, like for example, somebody comes with a QKD system, okay, or somebody comes up with a PQC algorithm and says that's a post-quantum, secure algorithm which is there. How do you evaluate that? That's one challenge. So because we have people who are coming with products, which are QKD products which are there, you have to evaluate those QKD products and then say, yes, he says it's a secure product, or he comes up with the PQC algorithm maybe on the crystal Kyber of the NIST algorithm which is there. So how do you evaluate that? So that is one area. So that's where we have started work on that area. Similarly, with respect to IoT devices which are getting deployed, you find that left and right IoT devices are getting deployed. But are they really secure? Are there anybody looking at the security requirements of that and then deploying it there? No. If I want to go and ask for a secure IoT device, can I go and source a secure IoT device? No. Is there a certification scheme for security for IoT device? It's not there. Do you have a requirement of security? What are the requirements of an IoT device? And based on the area where the deployment is happening, is there a classification based on the security requirements? So that is one, we have been working with industry to see how do I come up with security requirements for IoT device and how do I come up with a certification scheme for that, so that anybody could then deploy a secure IoT device into a network. So that is one big challenge that is there. The problem with the IoT devices is once the deployments happen in millions, I don't have a mechanism for retrofitting them for security later on. The only way that I could make them cyber secure later on is to replace them. And that would be a humongous task, economically not feasible, because you'll have to recall all of this device and deploy. So it's very important that we come up with a mechanism now for security, these requirements for the IoT device security and then certification scheme. I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but there's some reports that have been generated because studies have happened place. The Department of Telecommunications, the Telecom Engineering Center has come up with a report for the security of our devices, especially the classification. Similarly, MeitY through the CDAC Hyderabad has also come up with a report on the classification of the device and this thing. So this is one area, and shortly, you will find that there will be traction in this area, and you will have multiple, even under the National Mission on Cyber Physical Systems, where you have the technology innovation hubs, 25 technology innovation hubs that have been created under the 3,000 crore project of the National Mission on the Cyber Physical Systems. We have a technology innovation hub for IoT at IIT Bombay. Okay, and there we have asked them to work on the security of IoT devices also. The most important thing is I've been given a paper to wrap up. So what I'll do is now I'll wrap up. And as I said, there are multiple initiatives that are taking place in the cybersecurity domain. And we have around 1,000 crore budget on R&D, which we are deploying to especially address specific problem statements that are in these domains, like testing and certification, auditing, like, if you have to have a very critical infrastructure like NPCI, how do I audit that infrastructure? It's a very critical infrastructure for all. It's been done. Specific mechanisms for doing that have been done. So we have a team that's been created. So you'll find that there are testing, certification, audits, then, using of artificial intelligence for traffic analysis and threat analysis, threat intelligence, threat exchange, all of these are there, So in all of these areas, this thing. Shortly, to conclude, we'll be coming with a cybersecurity, National Cybersecurity Reference Framework. There's a work that's been happening for quite some time. The NCIIPC has been tasked with the responsibility, and with a couple of one industry and the academia, a National Cyber Reference Framework has been created that would help enterprises, because when enterprises, they're based on the expertise of the people that are there, they are coming up with some deployments. So you will find that two similarly placed enterprises would have two different types of deployments and two different levels of maturity. So the difference framework would help people to know exactly what is it that it should have as cybersecurity in the organization. It would act as a checklist. You could then take a conscious decision whether I want to deploy all of them or not deploy all of them, but at least you will know what is required to be deployed. That is one thing that's going to come up shortly. And as I've been reminded again, thank you for the opportunity, and wish you all very well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your